Hey guys, welcome back to another Farlight 84 video. My name is Agro. I'm a competitive player inside of Farlight 84. I've decided to take a step back from competitive in order to bring you guys the best YouTube videos possible. These are my current stats for this season. We have a 41 KD in squads and a 58 KD in duos. And last season, we held a 41 KD throughout the entire season. In my actual personal stats, you guys can see my win streaks, which are kind of crazy. We have a 33 win streak for this season and a 47 win streak for last season. I'm going to teach you guys everything you need to know about sensitivity, how to find the perfect sensitivity, moreover than just giving you my values, to make sure you guys can get dialed in as possible. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the Coliseum tab. It's next to the Battle Royale tab, and then go into the Training Ground. The training ground, I feel like, is the best place to get your rough cut for your sensitivity. And as you guys watch the video throughout, we're going to dive more and more into actually how to fine tune your sensitivity and what that looks like. Once you're in the training ground, you're going to come over here to this little bench. And I personally like to grab the M4. The reason I like to grab the M4 is because the M4 is the lowest recoil gun or easiest gun to use inside of the game. From over there, you're going to come over here and grab all of your attachments off of this bench to really kit the gun out, because we don't really want to focus on just recoil yet. We want to focus on just being able to handle the gun overall. Now let's jump into the actual sensitivity settings here. If you go to the sensitivity tab, the two tabs you're going to be most concerned about is camera and firing. Now, underneath the camera, we're going to go through these, what they mean and how they work and why they're important. The reason I'm doing this is because everybody's device is different. Whether you play with finger sleeves or not is different. Whether your device is mounted or you're laying on a bed or you're sitting in a chair, or what your HUD looks like, what's the range of motion your fingers actually have on your HUD. All that stuff plays a part. So starting off with the tactical skill sensitivity, this is going to be your ability to throw smokes or ults or whatever your character's abilities are. From there, your ultimate sensitivity is going to determine how low your values can go. As you guys can see on my 8x scope, it's at 6%. So if my ultimate sensitivity was at 70, I actually wouldn't be able to go any lower on my 8x scope. It would actually just, the slider would just null out. So if you guys are struggling with your sensitivity being too fast, you can turn this down or move it, etc. as needed. I personally keep mine at 80. That was not an entirely personal choice. When I first got into the game, I played around with it and I was like spazzing over sensitivity settings everywhere. And then I just kind of stuck on 80. And towards the end of the video, you'll kind of understand why I left it that way. So for the standard view is just your ability to move around with the camera and hip fire, if you will. I personally like to get mine to where I can jump and do a 180 very cleanly. This is my rule of thumb in most FPS games that I play, because that's going to help you weave in and out of buildings. However, that is what that sensitivity setting actually does. Shoulder aim view, I remember when I first started the game, this was actually very confusing to me because I was like, what is a shoulder aim view? That's actually your ability to look down the iron sights of one of your guns without a sight equipped. So it's just your iron sight sensitivity is the best way to put it for your camera. Now moving into the rest of them, red dot, 2x, 4x, 8x, those are all pretty self-explanatory. They will be your camera sensitivity for your respective sights. Underneath your firing sensitivity, this is going to be the same thing. Your standard view is your hip fire shooting sensitivity. Your shoulder aim is going to be shooting without a sight. And then you will have your respective sights, 2x, 4x, 8x, and the red dot. Now, how do you find the best values for you? As you guys know, I like my camera sensitivity to be just a 180. So being able to 180 very cleanly. The way I find the sensitivity for all the other sites is I will come over here, and then you can stand here, you can stand way back there if you want. It's really up to you. But shoot at the furthest target, and you just want to be able to track this target very easily. So being able to follow it while you're shooting and actually control the recoil on the M4 is really important. Let's focus up, boys. So being able to shoot these targets at range is super important. And I like to just get all my guns at this level. Once you have this down pretty well where you can shoot these targets and it's not too much of an issue to hit their head or place your shots, and you can basically put the bullets where you want the bullets. Aim assist go crazy, chat. Alright, so you can put the bullets where you want the bullets. Once you have this down pretty well, this will not be your final sensitivity. What I like to do from there is actually back out of training grounds, because that is your rough cut sensitivity. That's the sensitivity you need in order to handle the weapon. Now, you also have to take into account players have dashes, and movement is a really big thing in this game. So the next thing I like to do is go into the Coliseum, go into solo beta mode. This is your 1v1 mode. The reason I like this mode is because you're going up against a real person, and real people are unpredictable. You'll start to get a feel for if you're undershooting or overshooting a target in particular when movement is involved, or even when your own movement is involved. Because when you guys are jumping horizontally, dashing, you'll start to notice like, oh man, I can't move my screen, or I can't keep up with the target, etc. And it's a really good way to reflect because there's rounds in between rounds. So you can really ask yourself, was my aim on point? Was I placing my shots where I wanted them? What went wrong? From there, you can go into your sensitivity tab, tweak them by a couple percent, and kind of get that dialed in a little bit more. From there, the next thing I would do is going into the TDM mode. The reason I like the TDM mode is because, yet again, you're just going to basically expose yourself more. There's going to be more pressure on you, more enemies, more movement involved. So you'll start to get an understanding of where your bottlenecks are, and if you need to undershoot, overshoot, like where that's kind of sitting at for your sensitivity. From there, once you're feeling really good, you feel like you're placing shots the way you want to, then you can go into actual ranked. Now, this is important for the future of you playing the game. Once you have a really, really good baseline sensitivity, it really comes into practice. Practice a ton inside of ranked against other people, other players is really important. There's no guide in the world that will ever replace that. From there, though, one thing you guys have to note is you really don't want to mess with your sensitivity a whole lot from that point on. If you do want to mess with your sensitivity, only adjust it by a couple point values at a time. I would say around 2 to 3% every couple days. The reason you guys don't want to play with this too much is because as you progress throughout Farlight 84, you're going to build muscle memory. And as that muscle memory is there, you don't want to just crush the muscle memory up unless you're coming off like, I don't know, like a really brand new sense. So the best way to go about it is when you first start the game, spend a couple hours inside of training mode, 1v1s, TDMs, get a feel for all the guns. Some of the guns have a little bit more recoil than others. For example, the AK-77 has more recoil than an M4. A Jupiter, you're going to have to learn how to lead your shots in front of target for them to hit due to the bullet velocity. Stuff like that. Get a feel for the guns and really kind of get the sensitivity melded in between all the sights, all the guns, so you can be as proficient as possible no matter what you pick up inside of the BR mode. Get your snipers dialed in and your sniper scopes and all that stuff. And then from there, you really just don't want to play with your sensitivity a whole lot, and it just comes down to practice. Some of the best players in the world, and even myself, I end up having off days, whether I'm tired or maybe I need food or I don't have enough caffeine in my system, etc. Maybe I'm not hydrated enough. There's a lot of factors that come into play, and maybe all those things are fine and you're just having an off day. That's perfectly fine. That's acceptable. That happens in gaming quite a bit. But you don't want to just rush and run to your sensitivity and try to tweak it for that day, and then you're feeling better the next day, and then you're like, oh, well, now that's off, and then your muscle memory is all over the place. That's really how you're going to get better, and that's how you're going to fine-tune your sensitivity to the best way possible. If you guys like this video and you want more tips and tricks, videos, and how to get better at Farlight 84 in general, please be sure to thumbs up the video and consider subscribing. I'm going to be doing a ton of guides, videos, tips and tricks, everything you guys really need to know to perform at a high level. My name has been Aggro. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, stay hydrated, and I'll catch you in the next one.